All right, so I'd like to welcome everyone to today's presentation, and my name is Carrie O'Neill. I am a curriculum specialist with Mountain Desert Career Pathways, and our team works closely with our local school districts, community colleges, and businesses to support career technical education in our high desert region. So I would like to go ahead and introduce our speaker. His name is Mr. John Valdez. He's the Western Regional Manager with Avis-Budget Group. And a little background on John. He is an accomplished leader in 5 different industries. Currently, he is, like I said, with Avis-Budget Group. And his former positions include Regional Sales Manager with Tesla, Chief Development Officer with Elite Interactive Solutions, Executive Vice President with InterServe, Vice President with Allied Universal, and Vice President with Standard Parking, and Executive Officer at Enterprise Holdings. He's born and raised in the tiny little town of Barstow. He went to Barstow High School, and his professional passions are finding ways to lead people and companies to work productively, understanding the value of people first, igniting motivation within teams, and forward-thinking strategy development to create employee, customer, and shareholder value that drive profitable growth.
Giving me this opportunity, and it's great to kind of see the people from the high desert, which he mentioned. I'm originally from Barstow, California, and I graduated from Barstow High. I'm very proud of my hometown. And it's great to be with you today. As we go through this presentation, it's super important that this is not just my presentation, but it's for you as well. So at any point in any juncture that you have a question, go ahead and field it to the chat box. And I know that Carrie will be able to pick it up. And anytime you feel necessary to kind of see what your thoughts are on certain things, I want to know what you're thinking, and I'll be able to provide some color for you. So anyway, let's get a hold of it. One of the main things that I want to express to you is that, I'm no different than you guys that are here joining us at this presentation. Again, growing up in Barstow, there's a lot of things that when I was growing up, I certainly didn't know. So things that I have discovered during, my career and going to school and everything else, I kind of was the first person to learn these things in my family. And so, that discovery, I think that you as high school students are probably going through that same discovery and trying to determine, what's my best course of action, whether it's more schooling or whether it's going to a technical type trade school, or, whether or not we just move right on into the workforce. But in any regard, again, I roam the same, desert landscape as you did. So, I affectionately referred to this presentation as I was thinking it through it. I said, beyond what I was told. So, I'm just a high desert kid that just kept asking questions and kept plugging away. So from there, I will move on into the presentation here. Where did it all start? Well, you're looking at my home, at my house here. You see that little tiny arrow right there? That's where I grew up. Right there, right behind if we have some Barstow people, it's called the old Sizzler on Barstow Road, right there next to the 15 freeway. That's exactly where I grew up. So it was affectionately known as Section 7, as my dad referred to it as, but it was tortilla flats to us kids. Now, I know what you're thinking. Which one is Mr. Valdez? That guy in those cool pants. I'm sure my mom got those at Penny's or whatever. But and then, as you can see here, you can see my hairstyle has changed quite a bit over the years. And as that was the Peter Brady look, for anybody that's ever seen the Brady Bunch, that was me at Crestline Elementary. And again, as Carrie had mentioned, I'm a graduate of Barstow High in 1986. And again, lots of hair. Now here's, I'm going to tell a little story about myself. I originally had no plan. So if you're joining us here today and you're really not sure what you're going to do after high school, don't fret. Don't worry about it. I was kind of in the same scenario, and I labeled this slide, no college, no problemo. You know, I literally was sitting in typing class at Barstow High, and I got a slip to go to the athletic director's office. And I walked over to our AD, and he happened to be my head football coach. His name was Chuck Hubauer. And he said, I said, Mr. Hubauer, what do you want from me? You know, I turned in all my equipment, and he said, no, this guy from this college wants to talk to you. And I said, me? He said, yeah. And so I met this guy. His name was Tony Brown. And he says, hey, I sat down with him. He goes, again, I had no plans of going to college. And he was from Victor Valley Junior College. And he says, hey, I heard you're a good baseball player. And I was kind of confused. And I said, I had to look behind me like, are you talking to me? And yeah, I was pretty confused. But I did play baseball in high school, and I was pretty decent at it. So he said, hey, I'd like you to come out for the team and go to Victor Valley Junior College. And I said, great. So I about-faced, walked back to my typing class, told my friend Valerie, guess what? I'm going to Victor Valley Junior College. So no plan turned into a plan, and away I went. And this is a snapshot of when I went to school. I'm just kidding. No, it kind of looked like that. But in 1988, I got my associate's degree, but it took me 3 years to get through it. For the biggest reason is I didn't know what classes to take, and I didn't set a counselor appointment. So I just, believe it or not, I just chose the same classes my friend Lawrence did. And I turned out nothing that I put on my first year was transferable to a university. So 1 year completely wiped away because I didn't know what I was doing. But I found out the hard way, but all things happen for a reason. I was blessed to make my way down to Cal State San Bernardino. And again, you know, I kept moving in 30-mile increments. I went from Barstow to Victorville, from Victorville to San Bernardino. And man, I thought I was living in the big city when I moved to San Bernardino. And, you know, another 3 years later. So again, a lot of what I went through, I just kept plugging along. I didn't really have a set plan. I just knew that if I kept working hard, that I would get there. I ended up getting a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Business Administration from Cal State San Bernardino. But while I was there at Cal State San Bernardino, I went to go work at the mall. I got a job at Lens Crafters. Is anybody familiar with Lens Crafters? Anybody know what that is? You know, we make your glasses in about an hour. Back when malls existed, kids, no, just kidding. But they had these lens crafters, and I was a salesperson there. So that was my college job. And but the cool thing about it was that college job ended up getting me sort of acquainted with how companies work, how corporate America works. And so Lens Crafters is owned by a company called Luxottica. And as I was telling you before, I was working at the mall, but something else bigger was happening. I was getting introduced to the way companies work. So if you don't know who Luxottica is, they're kind of a big deal. If I can borrow that from Ron Burgundy, they own all of this. They own, you know, Polo, Ray-Bans. They own Versace glasses. They own Dolce & Gabbana. They own Oakley, you know, really cool. And then all of their optical lines, you know, if you've ever gotten glasses at Target, guess what? Luxottica owns the optical department that's out of Target. Same thing with Sunglass Hut. If you've ever purchased at the mall or even online, your parents maybe have bought. But, you know, these were some of the companies that it's a $9.5 billion company. And I got to work for that company. Although I was working at the mall, I was getting a good taste of what corporate America was and all the different companies that they own. So let's talk about this a little bit. And again, I encourage you to ask questions, anything. And Carrie, and if you could do me a favor as I'm going through these slides, if you want to interject and, say, we do have a question, I'll find the chat box. Main thing that I want to let you know is that all companies have different departments and they all have different structure. So for you folks tuning in right now, you may be good at numbers. You may be good at working with people. You may be good at management. You may be good at making things or being a project type manager or a project type person or tech. So all of these things can be found in companies. And so as I started to explore, there was a sales department, frontline strategy, customer facing, products and services being sold. There was a marketing department. And of course, at LensCrafters, there was operations, people that were actually in the back, making the optical, making the glasses, fabricating the lenses to the prescriptions being made. There was the accounting department, making sure that all bills were paid, accounts receivables, all of those things. So a lot of managerial and office type jobs were being done. Also finance, getting introduced to a finance department where there's budgets being created, forecasting, analytics. For anybody that's really good with numbers on this particular Zoom call, that this may be an opportunity for you. Human resource, working with people, making sure that people are taken care of, that their payroll is acceptable, that their work environment is acceptable. For all of you people that may be watching this presentation, if you're good with working with people and you'd like to take the care of making sure that people have a good working environment, maybe this is an opportunity for you. IT is a big thing. I mean, computers, right? People that troubleshoot, working with the internet, granting access to the mainframe, which is essentially the network that any company uses. They have a framework of computers and obviously a hard drive that everybody's able to have access to. So, and there's also security access to all of these things. So along with anything dealing with computers, there's also a security aspect. And maybe that's something that you're interested in. And then also loss prevention, okay? Not such a fun job because you get to deal with, whether it be customers or employees that maybe have sticky fingers and dealing with loss of items. So here's the thing that I want, if there's a takeaway that I want you to take from this presentation today, I want you to think about what your passion is. A little later, we're going to get off into Avis-Budget and all the opportunities there. But I really want you to really understand who you are. What is it that you like? What is it that you value? What is it that you love to do? Some of you might be good with numbers. Some of you may be good with your hands. So maybe be good at, working through projects. Some people are better in an office, landscape. What is it that you see that you're good at naturally? And how does that fit within a department or a job within a company? So for me, my passion and what I like to do is I like talking to people. And with that, I like getting to know people. So where does that really align with? Well, maybe that's sales, learning how to speak with people, having emotional intelligence. I'm sure you've heard of IQ, your intelligence quotient. Well, emotional intelligence is just learning how to read people, knowing how to talk to people, how to build relationships, developing trust, and also I've always been competitive. I mentioned that I was a baseball player, so I've always been competitive. And all of these things, and also being resilient, make for somebody who's going to probably be good in sales, somebody that knows how to talk to somebody, how to relate to somebody, how to take rejection, because, most of the time people tell us no. So with that being said, you need to align your passion. If it's numbers, if it's people, if it's working with your hands, if it's creating something, if it's computers, whatever your passion is, start thinking about what department and what companies fulfill those things that you like. Any questions thus far? Carrie, anybody?
It's pretty quiet right now. Hopefully
All
we'll
right.
get some as you go in here when you talk about the opportunities.
All right. All right. So here's where, again, I'm kind of backing up a little bit. 1992, I graduated with a business degree. And, it took me 6 years. Most times people say, oh, you go to college for 4 years. Not Johnny Boy here. I took kind of the long way, but you know what? I got it done. And one of the things that I determined when I got my degree is I thought, man, I'm going to just have this degree and I'm going to go and get a job and everybody's just going to love me. And guess what? What I found out is I was like going to get a job with Luxottica and they didn't want me. And I didn't know why. I didn't understand. Like, wait a minute, I work for you right now. Why wouldn't I work at your corporate office? But I started to learn some things, that, it just doesn't work that way. I needed to get better information. I needed to understand how this thing really worked because I felt like I was bigger than the mall. I felt like, I should be accomplishing something more. And I didn't understand why the company I was working for would not want me to be in a bigger position right away. I have a degree. Why aren't you hiring me? And on my days off, and this is what I'm going to encourage everybody on this call today, is nothing's going to get done on accident. You need to get off of your chair and you need to figure out and you need to get busy and you need to work hard because on my days off, you would think, man, I'm going to go, play Nintendo or I was going to go do whatever. And those were things that, felt like a good thing to do on my day off. But I got in my suit. I went around, I dropped off resumes. Now, today's world, it's, working online and researching companies and distributing your applications that way. But I was getting nowhere fast and I just couldn't figure it out. And all of a sudden at the mall, there was kind of this job fair where all these local companies came and had these little kiosks in the mall. And there was LA Cellular sitting there. Now, LA Cellular goes way, way back. Now they got gobbled up by AT&T Wireless. And I think some of you have phones and you may have AT&T. But I wanted to go work for them and I had dropped off an application from me and I didn't get anybody to call me back. So I asked this guy, hey man, how'd you get that job? And he says, I went through Culver Personnel. And I'm all, what's that? He goes, oh, it's a placement firm. They go and they find you a job. And I go, really? I go, well, I don't got any money. How do they do that? He goes, no, the company that hires you pays for them. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went to Culver Personnel. They did me some interview training and what to say, how to answer it. But again, guys and ladies, I didn't know what I was doing, but somebody taught me. So I just kept following the path. But it took me getting out and really looking at things for me to figure this thing out. And then, all of a sudden they got me some interviews and there I went. But again, I was finding these things out as I went. And what I found is that I told my story. Now, for all of you kids right now that are in the high desert, you're thinking, oh man, I'm from Phelan, I'm from Silver Valley, I'm from Barstow, whatever. No, that's an advantage. That's an advantage because us high desert kids, we're tough. We don't have entitlement. We know how to work hard. Our parents work hard. We come from a background where you got to get up and show up and you're tough. And so I shared that story with people and I ended up getting job offers from 3M. If you guys don't know what 3M is, they're the postage note people, right? That's what they create. And I got a job there, but much to my dad's chagrin, I ended up getting a job, with Enterprise. Anybody familiar with Enterprise Rent-A-Car or National or Alamo? Anybody? Maybe your parents have rented a car from them. Maybe you've seen them. But Enterprise is the largest rental car company in the world. And I spent 19 years with them after I said yes to the job offer. They're a $26 billion company, and they're all in automotive, okay? So we may have some folks on this call today that are interested in being an automotive tech, that are interested in being certified and doing all these things. And there's lots of departments and lots of things to take a look at enterprise, and they're always hiring. And the reason that I chose them is because they had a management program. They just didn't want me to be just a salesperson coming into the door, that they were going to train me and groom me. So they had advancement and they had growth. And then, you know, selfishly, they were going to give me a company car. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was driving a piece of junk little Civic that could barely stay on the road. So I said, man, a car? Unbelievable. And here's the other thing that I thought was cool with sales: unlimited commission. In other words, as hard as I wanted to work, as most sales as I wanted to create, I was going to get the money for that. So that was all good with me. Questions? Okay.
We have what
All
was
right.
your starting pay, if you want to answer that one, when you started working at Enterprise back
Well,
in the day?
you know, my pay was probably something close to like maybe at the time was I made $400 a month plus commission, and I think that probably broke itself out to like minimum wage plus commission, if I can kind of fit it to today's world. So I wasn't exactly rolling in the dough. You know, I had to start at the bottom. And I think a lot of times people, they see positions that they want to have at companies and they think, man, that's a really good job. And how did you do that? Well, most people start off at the entry level position, and there's nothing wrong with that. Once you're there, you get to prove yourself and you get to show people how well you work. And then from there, you're eligible for promotions. So I had mentioned on the earlier slide that I was talking that advancement, okay? My ability to grow with that company very interests me. Now, my dad was all mad. He was like, I've never even heard of Enterprise. This is ridiculous. You're going to work for a car rental company? You went to college for that? That's dumb. And I'm like, no, Dad, it's like a company that you can grow with. And fortunately for me, he was able to see me grow in that company, but I had to prove myself from the bottom up. Okay, here's some of the things to keep in mind. When you're out looking for opportunities, you're looking for careers, you're looking for jobs, is when you get into any company, these are the things that I have learned that you can also learn from me. Knowing your responsibilities, whether you're at an entry-level position or you're in a management position or whatever, you have usually 3 or 4 things that you're responsible for doing each and every day. You need to know what those responsibilities are. You need to be able to work hard toward those responsibilities, keep yourself organized, work hard, be timely, all of those things. Also, gathering knowledge. If you're going to be good at something, I don't care what it is, you're going to have to understand all the nuances of what makes that job a good job. Gathering as much information, knowing your job as best you can. Also, gaining support. That would be people in your position, people that are just above you, people that are below you, your boss's boss. That's gathering support. Being able to connect with people and understand that they are a resource for you to help you advance and get better at your job. You know, people think I just do my job and that's all I do. No, you got to be able to work with people too. So you got to gain that support. Also, developing relationships in the organization and different departments. You know, you're going to get to learn maybe the HR person. You're going to get to know the payroll person, the office person. These are all people that you need to have in your network. And also find a mentor. And a mentor for me is somebody who you aspire to want to be like. Somebody that you can share, you know, your frustrations with, get advice from, somebody you can model yourself after. And luckily for me, I had a lot of mentors. Because again, the information's not readily available unless you seek it. And if you seek a mentor and somebody who's respectable and is doing well at the job that you want to have, finding a mentor is extremely important. And then finding successful people, okay? I'm going to ask this question. If you want to be a winner, you hang out with, okay, survey says winner, okay? If you want you want to be successful, you need to hang out with successful people. Okay? There's no trick to it. Model your efforts to what they do. Any questions? Okay.
Don't see me yet.
Now, as I was going through this, you want to say to yourself, okay, well, I don't know about certain things and everything else, but guess what? That responsibility lies with you. Now, preparing yourself for entry into any workplace. Okay, some of you might be going to a trade school, some of you may go to college, go to a junior college, or some of you might join the workforce. But whatever it is that you are looking to do, you need to prepare yourself for it. And the way that you can do so is by learning to expose yourself to different jobs in different industries. And you can do that by actually going to those companies. I remember when I was just barely going to school and I did a school project on learning about different companies. I drove right to this Caterpillar company right off the 91 freeway in San Bernardino. And I simply walked in and said, I'm doing a school project, and can I talk to some manager here about what all jobs are here and how this place works? And this guy sat me down right away, and he started answering my questions. I couldn't believe how helpful he was. And then I went to another company, and they did the same thing. You know, you can reach out to people, and you'll be surprised. If you just ask for help, most of the time people don't turn you away. But here's the thing. You got to have the courage to ask. Because if you're not going to ask, you're not going to know. So you can set up shadows. You can interview with people about their positions. You're not trying to get a job there. You just want to understand how it works. And then do your research. Find books. I know you guys all know how to work your phone. Okay? YouTube, right? You know, look at how-tos. You know, I'm interested in becoming a certified automotive tech. Look into that. Find out online what schools are available. Look at videos. You know, what should you be doing? Also, social media. We all love most social media, right? We got a lot of people that love TikTok on this call. We got a lot of people that love Snapchat, you know, Facebook for us older people, and, you know, Instagram, all that type of thing. But what I encourage you to do is everybody should have a LinkedIn page. And if you're not familiar with what LinkedIn is it's a social media, you know, platform in which people from businesses have their information out there, and you'll have a profile just like you do on all your other social media platforms. You'll have one on LinkedIn, but this is just about you in the workforce. Okay. Then, you know, look into study programs, requirements, school, and the time required. Okay. A lot of people say, oh, I want to be this, but they don't understand that you got to do all these little other things. You got to go to school. You got to prepare. You got to do these things. You got to be certified to get that job. How long does that take? And I don't think that sometimes people think how long things take. So I'll move quickly through these slides. This is just a little bit more about myself. You know, I worked at Standard Parking. Carrie had mentioned that earlier. You know, they're you know, $421 million company, 25,000 employees. I also work for Ally Universal. They're one of the biggest guarding companies. So if you ever see security guards out in front of malls or that at a hospital or any kind of retail center, I worked with them. They're an $8.3 billion company. Again, you know, more experiences, more different companies. I work for Elite Interactive, very small company. You know, I was the chief development officer, kind of a fancy title, but there was only 85 employees that worked there. And then I worked for Tesla. I worked for Elon Musk, you know, got to meet Elon. And I was a regional manager there. And, you know, they're one of the biggest companies in the world, $208 billion company, and they're publicly traded. And one of the reasons that I point out publicly traded, private, all these things, they all have different structures, you know, to them, whether they're private or publicly traded. That means somebody owns them privately, or that means that, you know, the entire world can own shares in Tesla. All right, we're going to move into what I do right now, and I'm going to talk to you about our department here. I mean, our company, Avis-Budget Group. I'm going to throw it out to the group. Show of hands if you got your screen on or in the chat. Who knows who Avis-Budget Group is? I do. All right. Well, Avis-Budget Group is one of the largest rental car companies and automotive companies in the US and worldwide. And if you're familiar with them, these are all the different, we have Avis Car Sales. I work for that department. I work for that subsidiary. Zipcar, if you've ever heard of Zipcar, that's ride sharing cars that you can actually rent on the hour, for the hour, not for a day. And I'm sure you've seen budget rental trucks roaming up and down. If you've ever needed to move something or move out of your house or whatever, the budget rental. And then Payless, you'll probably see them, Payless Rental, out at the airports, and then Ace Rent-A-Car. So those are all the companies that Avis-Budget Group owns. A little bit of something about Avis-Budget Group, and then we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of this. They're a Fortune 500 company, which it's one of the biggest companies in the world, $9.7 billion company, so very large, and 30,000 employees worldwide. And the subsidiaries, we've already went through that. Now let's get into job opportunities with, Avis-Budget Group. And this is where you guys need to be interactive and let me know if any of these positions seem like a good position for you or you're interested. Please put something in the in the chat box and let me know, and I will get into more detail about that certain position. But again, Avis-Budget Group, we're automotive, right? We're cars. So anything you can think, rent, buy, lease, trucks, whatever you can think of, anything that goes into automotive, we're that company. So starting from the very beginning, we have lot attendants and car preps, shuttle drivers, and they can make anywhere from minimum wage to $20 to $30 an hour. So not a bad way to start. Minimum wage isn't, a bad thing. It's just where we start, and that's where we can go. But you can get yourself in the door, and you can start making your way up the ladder. An automotive technician, for those of you that are looking to get into the automotive field and be a mechanic or technician, yeah. Do we have a question, Carrie?
Not yet, John.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't be shy. All right. Automotive technicians, they can make minimum wage. If you're certified, you start at $20 an hour. So not a bad wage. And being a rental agent, you can start off at $20 to $25 an hour. And I will let you know that any of these don't require a degree. They don't just require any college, or they don't require anything like that. You just got to get your foot in the door. You might start as a lot prep or that of a shuttle driver or what have you. But it's a start. It's a start in a very big company that has many different directions, many different departments, many different levels that you can get to. I work with a lot of people that have been with this company for 48 years, okay? 48 years, 35 years. It's not unfounded to have people that started off as lot preps that are vice presidents today. So you can make your way up through the ladder with Avis-Budget Group. Fleet coordinators and fleet managers, okay? They're managing all of the fleet and making sure who has cars, where are these cars going. This rental location may need more cars. This one might need less, so we need to take some from them and give them to this other location. Maybe it's over the holidays. We need more rental cars over at the, at the airport. So we got to get cars over there. That's fleet coordinator, fleet manager. They start off at about $20 an hour, and as you move your way up through the ranks, you can become a manager through there and make $75,000 a year. And then operations, operations, everything dealing with all the mechanical side of things, making sure the cars are prepared and everything else. Those guys start off at $20 to $30 an hour. Something called supply chain. They prepare all the cars for rental, get rid of the cars to the auction. They give me cars over at my department where we sell the cars. And those people start off at $20 an hour. They move to $30 an hour. And then as they become managers, they can make $75,000 to $100,000 plus a year. Dealer direct, these is more of a management type position. These are people that sell directly to dealers with the cars that come from our rental fleet. Once they're done, after a year or two, we can sell them directly to dealers and they can get a used car fleet. For any dealership that you see used cars on, they're normally rental cars. And these are the guys that sell those cars. And they make about $75,000 a year plus commission, depends on how they perform. Also, we have auction people and sell directly to the auctions. Again, their pay structure is very similar. And then let's talk about the admin offices. We have starting off at $20 to $25. You could be a file clerk. You could be, somebody who's, taking care of payroll. You could be taking care of, paying bills or facilitating all the training and all the different things. There's all these functions that happen within an office that help support. We have HR, we have recruiting, we have accounting, titling, distribution. There are all these office jobs that relate to every single one of those departments. Questions?
Yep, we got a question. So can you speak to what type of certification your automotive technicians might need?
Yeah, it's ASC, certification. Pretty standard for any place that you would go to be an automotive tech, whether you're going to be over at AMCO or what have you. And here's the neat thing too. You can get into Avis-Budget Group and get a look around and say, maybe I need to be, a certified tech, or maybe I need to move over in this direction. We give you that opportunity to do that schooling and do that. What's nice about a very big company like what I work for is they have all these programs and support to actually pay for some of that. So if it's schooling that you're looking to do, if there's certifications that you want to get, there are programs within our benefits that allow for that. So you can come in not being certified and then continue to kind of, bring things into your background that will be helpful for later on. Here's some pictures. Sorry, none of these people are wearing masks because this happened prior to that, but you can see our rental agents here. And then I mentioned our shuttle and preps and distribution. A lot of these folks, they're moving cars in and out. If anybody been to a large airport before, like LAX, Ontario, Santa Ana, there is a sea of cars normally just located just outside of all big airports. And it is quite the operation to make sure that everything is organized of what cars are going out, what cars are coming in, being checked in from customers who are dropping off their rental cars, picking up their rental cars, ones that need to go to wash and ones that need to get their oil change fixed. Airport operation of any rental car, whether it's Avis-Budget Group, Enterprise, Hertz, whatever, it is an absolute amazing deal. Jobs continued here. Just a little bit about, Avis-Budget. We're always hiring. We're always hiring great people. Again, doesn't matter what your background is and during your schooling, but we have competitive pay. Being a larger company, you usually have better benefits because the more employees in a company, the more competitive our employee benefits are, because the more people we have, the better deal we get from insurance companies. So we get great benefits, low cost, and we have, like I said, career development opportunities. You can come in as a lot prep and build your way up to a certified tech. Job opportunities continued. I I mentioned some of the dealer direct and auction people, the titling people. Again, these are some more positions that that you can move into. Now, this is my department. I work for Avis-Budget Group, but I oversee the Western regional states for Avis Car Sales. And we have an Avis Car Sales in Victorville. Has anybody seen our location in Victorville, right off the 15 freeway, right off of Roy Rogers? Pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
We have free coffee. All right. So let's talk about Avis Car Sales, as my shirt would say, Avis Car Sales. All right, lot porters. Lot porters make minimum wage up to $20 an hour. And
Hey,
then
John.
an automotive.
Hey, John, can I just ask you to give us a little bit of a description of what a lot porter would do?
Oh,
'Cause that
great.
could be
Yeah.
something, that we're not.
Great question.
Mhm.
Now, a lot porter spends a great deal with the inventory. So what they're doing is processing the new cars that we get in. There are several things that need to be done with those cars. Some of them need to be run to the shop. Maybe it's a Pep Boys or what have you, to then be worked on to get new set of tires, new brakes. Some of our cars, if they come from out of state, they have to get run over to a smog shop. So state of California, every car that comes from out of state has to be smog certified. Okay, it's part of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, making sure that the car is not a gross polluter. So take it to the shop, get a smog done on it, got a certificate. So again, we have a lot porter that's moving cars around to different areas in order for them to get prepared. Once all of those things have been done, they're generally giving the car over to a detailer. Now, a detailer is a person or a company that we use in order to get the car all cleaned up, waxed, ready to go, armor all the tires, steam clean the engine, and make sure that it's presentable for that of, being put forth to be sold to a customer. And once it's done that, they also coordinate. So when you go on any car sales site, you're going to see pictures of cars. So if you're interested in buying a car, there's a company that we use that does all of those pictures. They do 29 to 30 pictures on every car. And my lot porter will interact with that picture taking company and make sure that all of the cars are pictured and brought up online. So there's a little of computer work to be done as a lot porter to make sure all of those cars are entered into our internet portal so they can be seen by customers on the internet. And then we make sure that every single car has a sticker on it. In the state of California and much across the country, all of the cars have to have a sticker on there about what comes with the car, what the warranty is, how much it costs, what comes with the car, all of those things. That lot porter has to make sure that every single one of those cars is stickered. Last thing, they need to position the cars in such a way that the lot looks tidy, it's organized. So when a customer comes on the lot, they're able to see the cars and they know exactly the small cars are over here, the big trucks are over there. So they're organizing and reconciling the inventory. That's the last thing that they do is they make sure that we have all of our keys. We have all of our cars are locked and secured each night. We're made sure that, all cars are taken care of. One of the cars all of a sudden doesn't start because it's been sitting too long. They have to get a jump box to it. So all these different tasks. So lot porters, they kind of do a little bit of everything. Questions on lot porter?
Any questions? Okay, we have about 9 more minutes, John.
Okay, I'm going to fly. All right.
But feel free to explain, any of those positions if we need to.
Okay. Anyway, automotive tech, we do reconditioning of our cars too at the Victorville location, and we have people at our service bays in the back that actually inspect the cars, certify the cars. Again, they're looking at the mechanics to make sure it's a safe vehicle. So they're doing a lot more hands-on and actually doing more repair work and maintenance work to the car itself. So that's what an automotive tech does for us. Sales rep, just a salesperson. That's the person that sells cars. These people are making anywhere from $50,000 a year to $100,000 a year. They make minimum wage plus commission, and that's what makes up their 50 to 100 grand. Just depending on how well they sell is how much they make. Finance manager. A finance manager is somebody that does all the financing and gets your loan approved at the bank. Most customers, when they purchase a car, they need to get a loan, and we facilitate, the finance manager facilitates the loan, with the customer and secures financing so they can make payments on their new car.
And is that is that a degreed position, or is that?
It is not. It is not. I will tell you that every single finance manager that I have in my department did not go to college. They started off as either a lot porter or a salesperson at a dealership, and they made their way up the ranks.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Car business is I love the car business. You can come from any background, from anywhere, and be incredibly successful at the car business and make good money doing it. You don't need a degree. Finance managers, again, they make anywhere from 100 grand to 150 grand, just depending on how well they do their job. A GM is somebody that oversees the entire operation of the dealership. And those folks can make anywhere, from 120 to 250,000. We have regional managers that oversee multiple locations. Those are $200,000 plus jobs, just depending on how they perform. And again, you don't need to have a degree, but you probably are going to start off at the beginning, at the entry level. And then the director position is somebody that's at corporate that has $200,000 and above. If you become a VP in the company, you're making $300,000 plus. And then a senior VP, you're making close to $500,000 a year. So those are kind of the positions, with car sales. Any questions on that?
Yeah, John, we have a question about the automotive techs. What is your requirement for years of experience when you hire an auto tech? They have to have, and we talked about certification, but do you look at their years of experience as well?
Usually a couple of years is the starting point for somebody that we're going to look at in that position. So you're going to need to probably, maybe start off at a Jiffy Lube or some entry-level position, and you'll move into that tech position. Usually a couple of years on the job is what we're looking for.
All right, thank you.
Okay, last thing, and this doesn't have anything to do with Avis-Budget, but, I couldn't take this time today to talk to you about what it is that is you as a individual, what you can do to control your destiny, to control your career. And these are little tidbits that I got, and I say control the controllables. Whatever you can do, you can control your attitude and you can control your effort. I don't care that you're from the high desert. I don't care that you're from Hesperia, Phelan, Barstow, Silver Valley, Yermo, Hinckley. I don't care. You can control your controllables. Work hard, be disciplined, be respectable, do what you got to do. I also talk about winning the day. What is it that we have to accomplish today? I'm sure some of you have homework today. I'm sure that you have assignment that's due in a couple of weeks. I'm sure you have chores at home. I'm sure you have things that you need to accomplish. You need to do those things and do them perfectly and do it right. You'll be surprised how cool your parents are to you when you start doing your chores without being told. And how good you'll get, in your schooling when you do your homework and you get ahead of the curve. Schedule your day. List out what's the things you have to do today. Okay? Look to improve each and every day. Do things without being told. You know what that's called, ladies and gentlemen? Responsibility. Do what you're supposed to be doing without being told. Always put in your best effort. And guess what? You only know your best effort. Nobody else knows your best effort. The other things I will tell you, don't fall into the pitfall of comparing yourself to others. Don't criticize, others, and don't complain, because you know what? It's not going to make things better for you. The thing that you can do is always put your best effort, and you know what your best effort is. And the other thing that I always tell people, everybody wants to be successful, but who works hard? Anytime I see somebody say, man, that guy's got a great job and he's got this and he's got that and he's got money, he's got a boat, he's got a car, he's got a house, he's got this. Well, guess what? He worked hard. He didn't get that on accident. He wasn't lucky. And then I've mentioned this to you before. God, I can tell you this is an advantage to me. No one cares where you started out from. They don't care where you went to school. It's about the here and now. Be proud of your high desert roots. Be proud of who you are. Work hard, ask questions, keep pushing yourself. And then the last thing is make friends with everybody. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I can tell you along the way, I've had a lot of great people help me out with jobs and get me to where I need to be. And I give thanks and praise to those people that I got to know early on in my career. So I know we just have a couple minutes left. Questions and answers to...
Yeah, any of you have questions, feel free to add those in the chat like you've been doing. I know there's been a lot of information. Mr. Valdez is a very dynamic person. He's very passionate about what he does. Totally appreciate you and your time that you've given us. I don't see any other questions. I'm going to ask you to just have a look here at our MDCP website. So what we're going to do is we have put up all of our industry chats on our website, and I'll go ahead and put that in the chat, the link to that. If you go to our educator page, these are upcoming virtual events. So today was Mr. Valdez, and we have one coming on Friday with Deputy Sheriff Michael Roth. He'll be talking about careers in the Sheriff Department. And then December 4th, we have another event. December 11th, we have another one as well. So this is where you would go to register for your events. And then if you go down to the bottom where it says past web event recordings, this is where the recordings for each of those events that have happened. So we've already had looks like 6 different presentations on mechatronics, but we also had a behavioral health symposium, and so that's up there as well. So here's our mechatronics web series. These are some of the events that we've already recorded. Mr. Valdez's recording will come over here.
I don't know if you have time for me to answer. High points to the job.
Okay.
I will tell you, just working with people and being able to help them get to the next level. That's the high point of my job. The low point of my job is, when we're not successful doing that, I really take a lot of pride in making sure that people get to where they want to go, because that's my job as a manager. But, I don't really have too many low points. God's blessed me with the fact of, I've got some good people, and normally we end up on the other side of good.
Awesome.
Have you ever experienced burnout? No, not exactly. When I start feeling like I'm in a rut, I don't really call it burnout. I think I need to engage in something different and maybe engage in something that I'm lacking in my particular role. So sometimes I don't look at it as why am I stuck? It's what should I be doing to make myself unfeel stuck. Physical or mental requirements, if you're going to be a lot porter, if you're going to be a tech, you're going to be on your feet all day. And you may work in hot and cold and windy and all those type of things. You will be out in the elements, and you need to be prepared for that. Anything I wish I would have done differently? I'm always looking at how I could do things differently. I think that's about us growing as individuals or our career. You always want to take a look and take an inventory of what could I have done better and that type of thing. There's always situations, both big and small, that I wish I would have done things a little bit differently. I mean, there is no better teacher than history and mistakes, and I've made plenty. So you're not talking about somebody who's always been perfect and I landed at, my position just, with my charm and good looks, but you know what, it's been trial and error.
Hey, John, what does a typical day look like for you? You talked about everyone. What does it look like for you?
Very important. Good question. A typical day for me usually starts the day before. I like to look at what my schedule is. My Outlook calendar is extremely important to me. If you took it away from me, I'd cry like a child. And I look at what my responsibilities. I have normally 6 to 7 calls a day, conference calls, Zoom calls, different things that I need to participate in and be a part of. Sometimes I'm facilitating, sometimes I'm just an active listener in the program. I have a bunch of reports that I look at every single morning to see how our production is going. I also look at, HR, human resource situations. If I have new employees starting, if they have all of their credentials and accesses and all of those things. Some also part of my business is dealing with customers as well. There are customers out there that when they buy a car, sometimes they're very happy, sometimes they're not. And guess what? I have to deal with both. I was dealing with a gentleman that was pretty aggravated about his car this morning, and I was able to help rectify, what the situation is, So I get a little bit of everything. I'm a leader of managers. So I'm always leading and coaching and trying to help them develop to be the best managers that they can so they can be the best to their people.
All right, do you have positions for lot porter available on a frequent basis? Is that something that you always have?
We do, and I will tell you that if you always look at our career site on Avis-Budget Group careers, they're always posting new positions, whether it's at the rental, and it's not just my department at the car sales. It could be at one of the rental facilities. It could be at the airport, or it could be a shuttle driver or what have you. So if you go on Avis-Budget Careers, you're always going to see it. And we always are looking for people. I just added a second porter just a couple of months ago. So we actually have 2 lot porters in Victorville. So I just added one up there just not too long ago.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. If I don't see any more questions, do you, John?
No, I don't. But
okay.
Everybody, Carrie, thank you so much. It's great to reconnect with you and have this opportunity. Thanks for thinking of me. And for you folks that join us, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you paying attention and that type of thing. I'm sure Carrie could pass along my information, my contact information to any of you that have questions or anything else. I'm always here to help you. So keep working hard, be proud of who you are, and do the best you can.
Awesome. Well, thank you for attending. I appreciate all of your attention and questions, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thanks again, Mr. Valdez. We appreciate your support. All right, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.